Well, hello.
Hey, Kelly. How's your Friday Eve going?
You always mess me up when you say Friday Eve.
Friday Junior.
I'm like, it's Thursday, right? Well, we are going to just give a minute or two for people to log in. Please say hello in the comments when you get here so we know that you're here. I can't exactly see everybody, but would love to get some comments and just who you are, where you're logging in from.
Hey, Jamie.
There's Jamie. Who else we got? I want to feel popular. Happy Thursday, Jill.
Hi, Jill. Rebecca. Mark. Oh, yep. People are starting to pop on.
Minneapolis. I bet you a lot of people are going to be from the Minneapolis, St. Paul area. That's where Jennifer, I'm in Wisconsin too. Where in Wisconsin are you? I'm in La Crosse.
Open Sarah's in Alaska. Oh, hey, Grace. Down in Florida. All over the place now.
I'm basically on Alaska too. Nice to see you, Sarah. Beautiful. Well, so welcome to our LinkedIn Live, Quiet Quitting, the what, why, and what now behind the fall's buzziest term. I'm sure a lot of you have heard a lot about this. It's really been all over the place. And we really, before we get going, I want to, again, thank you for being here. Want to encourage crowd participation. So please comment any thoughts, questions, concerns, any, jokes. If you want to talk through the comments, we would love to hear it. We might not be able to answer everything and we will do our best, but there will be opportunity for us to answer all the questions after this as well. So absolutely keep engaged. We want some participation, which would be fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get started. So who are we? My name is Kelly Gunderson. I'm the Client Experience Director here at Celarity, and I'm with...
Yes, I am Katie Larson. I'm the recruiter manager here, and I just had my 7th anniversary. And Kelly, I think you just said your 9th, which is
9th last week.
Time flies.
Which is a long time for the recruiting industry. I think we have some recruiters or people in the recruiting industry on line with us right now, and it's kind of a crazy life that we live, but it's fun and I'm really passionate about it and we both love it. That's why we're here. So let's move into why we're here. So quiet quitting, what is it exactly? And I've been doing a ton of research. I've been down this black hole on TikTok. I think that's kind of where it got the most buzz, but it's all over social media, all over the workplace. Everybody's talking about it. And it's really, there's a ton of different definitions, but simply put, the trend that I found is that it's remaining in one's workplace while not actively going above and beyond. And that could mean a lot of different things, negative, positive, it depends on who you are. So I kind of took matters into my own hands, and I'm not sure if everybody saw the LinkedIn poll that I did, but we had more than, I think it was like 65 plus participants that voted. It's still live, so I will share the results when that is ended. I think that's going to be their end of day today or tomorrow. But so there were a few different options. So 19% of participants thought quiet quitting meant or means coasting, doing the bare minimum, being really lazy, which, that has a negative connotation, obviously, to it. And then 44% thought it was more about self-preservation, setting healthy boundaries, not adhering to that hustle culture, really going into that like work-life balance, making sure that you're setting those boundaries. So that was the highest percentage of people voted on. And then 35% was a combination. So a little bit of both, which is understandable as well. And then there was a 2% other, but really what we gathered is that quiet quitting just really means different things to different people. And that's okay. But how did we get to quiet quitting being this like big phenomenon again? It's not new. It feels like it's been around for a while. But who remembers the Great Resignation?
100%.
Yeah, I can only see us obviously raising our hands, but I'm assuming other people at home are raising their hand. So last year, more than 47 million people in the US quit their jobs. For many different reasons. There was, the Great Resignation, Great Reshuffle, Great Renegotiation, just a lot of terms for it, which is the same with quiet quitting. There's a lot of different ways and phrases and thoughts around it. So at the same time, we also started to see worker engagement begin to drop drastically. And then there's also some government data showing a historic drop in productivity over the last 2 quarters. So all of those definitely blend together and kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah, and I was doing a ton of research as well, kind of leading up to this meeting, and I stumbled across a Gallup poll that said engagement is currently the lowest among remote Gen Z and younger millennial workers. And I think the decline is linked to employees just not feeling cared for in the workplace, or just not really having like clear expectations, or maybe it's just not enough opportunities to, continue to learn and grow. And it also said that only 4 in 10 remote or hybrid workers under the age of 35 clearly know what is expected of them at work. So that's a really clear connection, to me at least, between engagement and quiet quitting.
Absolutely.
Looking at my notes here, I mean, just a couple other interesting stats. More than 50% of US workers admit to being quiet quitters. I mean, that's just wild to me. That's a huge percentage of the working population. And then US is also ranked second in the world for quiet quitting activity. Canada just being slightly ahead of us. So just wild to kind of see all of these stats and them having similar trends.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I'd love to chat with you, Kelly, about just what we're kind of hearing and seeing from a recruiting industry perspective. On the recruiting side, I can definitely kind of fill you in on what I've been hearing from different candidates. And I know you're more on the account management side, so I'd also love to hear just what, conversations you've had with different clients and hiring managers.
Absolutely.
So I know, my thought and conversations I've had is that the global pandemic, it really was a time of burnout, and coming around from it, I think a lot of people are reflecting, including myself, on just, reassessing life's priorities. And I think there's just been so many recent events in the past few years that has caused people to just kind of view work differently. I think employers or employees are trying to figure out what's most important in their lives, trying to find passions outside of work. I know, Kelly, you've been talking a lot recently about picking up art again and painting, which is really neat to see. And I've also been hearing from some candidates that they want to work to live, not live to work. So people are just setting stronger boundaries of whether it's sticking to the hours that they were hired for, the 8 to 5, or sticking to the job description of what was required for them, and just trying to find a clear work-life balance in this kind of remote culture that we're in right now.
Yeah. And going back to the engagement piece, I personally, I'm super engaged. I love what I do. I'm passionate about what I do, but there are times where I definitely get burnt out because I've always, maybe it's a millennial thing, I'm not sure. But that hustle culture of always going above and beyond, striving for the best, striving for perfection. It gets to you, even if you love what you do, you got to make sure that you're being able to go paint and do that therapeutic thing that you can take your mind off of work for a while, spend time with your family. What is it that you do, Katie, to make sure that you're logging off?
Yeah, it's definitely been a struggle to me personally that I've had to work on over time, especially being in more of a commission-driven position. But I think it's helpful that in this empty bedroom at our house here, I've created an office space. So I've tried to leave my laptop in here. It was really easy earlier on in the pandemic just to kind of carry it around the house with me and work, even after the kids got home from daycare. But shutting down my laptop, shutting the door at the end of the night when I'm done with, all my tasks, and then just being able to kind of compartmentalize a little bit better my office and workspace from time with my family. How about you?
So it's the painting stuff, but I work out a lot, or I try to. I've kind of fallen off that wagon, but I'm going to get back to doing it. Taking walks over lunch, it's the same stuff that people are like, yeah, duh, that's easy stuff to do. But there are times where I've talked to people where they haven't eaten all day because they're so ingrained in what they're doing and focused on what they're doing, which can be a good thing. Again, you love what you're doing, especially at Celarity, we're creating happy careers. We're getting people to work and love what they do. But sometimes you got to take a break. So, client employer perspective. So I talk to a lot of hiring managers. Again, there's a lot of talk about how this isn't a new concept. There were, newspaper articles that were writing about this concept in the 90s, talking about how Gen Xers were the original quiet quitters. And there are definitely clear generational gaps with the types of people that we're talking to, candidates, hiring managers. It has a lot to do with age, generation. it's a topic for another time. We could go really deep into that. But again, it's knowing that hustle culture isn't necessarily a negative thing. It always going above and beyond and continually striving for perfection. It's seen as like burnout versus a passion and something that you really, really love. And then acting your wage is something else that people are talking a lot about. So limiting your output to only what you're being paid, nothing less, nothing more. That's viewed as like coasting and laziness, giving up on work versus work-life balance and setting those healthy boundaries. A really interesting quote that I saw from Ariana Huffington, you know her from Huffington Post?
Oh, yeah, she's the founder.
Yep. So she said, quiet quitting isn't just about quitting on a job. It's a step toward quitting on life. A little aggressive, but she's arguing that quiet quitters would be better served finding jobs that they are passionate about, which I absolutely agree with too. I mean, if you're not happy in what you're doing, let's find you something that you are happy in doing, you are passionate about, and that you don't have to think like, I'm only going to do what I'm being paid in the bare minimum, like making sure that it is something that you like to do.
Right.
And then there's like the even more extreme, if you've heard of Kevin O'Leary, from Shark Tank.
Yep, Shark Tank, one of my favorite shows.
Yes. Is it still on?
I feel like it's always on.
Anyway, so he said, people who shut down their laptop at 5 o'clock, they don't work for me. I hope they work for my competitors. So kind of, again, very aggressive. I mean, I wouldn't be able to do my job if I just shut my computer at 5 o'clock. I mean, there are interviews and offers and happy things happening after 5 o'clock, but we have an environment, at least at Celarity, where we have that flexibility during the day to go to Target and pick up our prescriptions and go to the doctor. Like we have that flexibility so that, at 7 p.m. I can call a candidate and offer them a job, and it's happy. Like it's exciting to do that. It's not grueling. Like, oh my gosh, I have to make this call. So anyways, again, both of those situations can be negative or positive, depending on who you're asking. As different generations get used to the way new generations are working, especially after this pandemic, we're going to have to get used to the new normal. We're going to have to adjust together. And I'm not paying attention to the comments so much, but if you can think of how we can all come together as teams, as employers, as direct reports, as employees to do this, to come together and adjust to this new normal. Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear it. But really it's what I've found is that you just need to take the quiet out of it. It doesn't, I'm not sure why it has to be quiet. There's a lot of talking about like quiet managing and quiet firing. Like that's just a crazy game that, it's work and it's our lives. Like we just breathe. Like it's not the end of the world. It's not life or death. Like, let's make sure that we are happy with what we're doing. And we also have a life outside of work. So take the quiet out of it, talk about it, find some practical ways that you can start the conversation with your team. Especially if you're a manager or a leader, making sure that you're talking to your teams one-on-one, your people one-on-one to hear about their interests outside of work. Like, are they getting that stuff done? Like, are they able to do that? Like, what's their stress levels like? Like, have they heard or thought about quiet quitting? Like, what are they actually thinking about that? Like, so literally take the quiet out of it. And let's call it something else. So I don't know what you've heard, Katie, like there's different terms for it, but passion rebalance is one that I've seen, make it more of a positive than a quiet quitting negative connotation. Boundary balancing, work-life integration, working to rule or working to thrive. And then I think there were a couple of funny ones that you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many terms out there. I mean, I've also seen like DYJ, doing your job, or working at work. So, I mean, we could just kind of keep going on and on. But I mean, I think as manager, I think it's important to just encourage mental health, help provide resources and support, and make sure those are clearly communicated out so employees know where to go. And just at the end of the day, like, make your employees feel valued. We're all humans here. Having that compassionate leadership, I think, is so core of what managers and leaders do day to day. And I think it's okay. I think like that Ariana Huffington quote that you found, I mean, it's okay to identify someone on your team that's not passionate about what they're doing anymore, or the job is just not the right fit. It's not what they expected. I mean,
we could try to make the right fit for them, or help them find something different,
I mean, let's work with them to find that passion, whether it's internally, maybe there's another role within your organization, or maybe it's somewhere else, and being okay with that. Knowing that you help them take that next step in their career, even if it's not on your team. And I mean, I don't know if you have any other thoughts, but I feel like, I mean, we could really talk about this topic all day. So hopefully this is one of many LinkedIn Live sessions that we'll have.
Yeah, just going back to the engagement piece, making sure your team is on board and you're in the right space. Again, I think quiet quitting isn't necessarily a negative thing, but it's also not necessarily like a super positive thing. Like let's take the quiet out of it. Let's keep it simple. Make sure that all of us are happy with what we're doing at work and at home.
Yeah, I mean, I saw Sarah Morgan commented. She said, for managers, define what success looks like. When roles or success are unclear, how can you succeed? I mean, that's such a good point, Sarah. And you said, and managers should mirror healthy boundaries. We're watching for that to give us permission, whether we should or not, which I think is so true as well.
Absolutely. And Rebecca, you said find your, I don't know how to say it, ikigai, a Japanese concept about the intersection of work, passion, and pay. I'm going to look into that. Thank you for that. Sarah also mentioned stay interviews.
Yeah.
Yep. We did those at Celarity. I think that helps a lot because it's not just like having that conversation. It's actually taking like data and patterns from your team on like what they like or dislike or what they think is going right or wrong. Just really having those open conversations and communication is key.
And please keep commenting, whether it's your thoughts, questions, even after this ends. We'll work to respond to all of you individually. And then there will be a recording posted out from this, as well as a blog coming shortly, which we'll post out on social media. And then you can find Kelly and I on LinkedIn here. We're very active, so we'd love to connect with you one-on-one, and just appreciate everyone hopping on today over lunch.
Thank you, Katie. Is there anything that we want to answer right now? Anybody have specific questions? I'm going to look like a fool and nobody's going to ask anything. I'll wait for one more minute, but we would love people to reach out directly. Someone said quitting in general can be seen as a negative thing. Right. And, you know, I've quit jobs and it was an absolute like blessing in disguise. You know, you don't know until it's too late.
Oh, thanks, Onine. Very insightful. Thanks for joining us. Oh, thanks, Rebecca, Sarah.
Thanks, everybody.
Well, hope everyone has a fantastic rest of their week and weekend, and hopefully we'll see you again on here soon.
See you later.